Today, let's talk about your literacy block. Some of the questions I get asked all the time are, how do you fit everything into your literacy block? Or how do you decide what to do, not do, i.e. prioritize? And what's your schedule during your literacy block? When I first started teaching, I realized I had to understand what was most important for my students to learn to read and write well, the sequence of what I should teach, and more before I could even begin to plan my time. Unfortunately, many teacher education programs don't fully prepare teachers with the information they need to make these decisions with confidence. Don't worry, I already have a plan for you to get started with. And today I have the skinny on planning your literacy block no matter how much time you have in your day to devote to it. In future episodes, we'll dive into more of the specifics about what to teach. I'm Lisa Burns, a teacher success coach, veteran elementary teacher, and mom of 5, and this is the Teach Joyfully podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Are you missing out? Team H.O.P.E Insiders get extra encouragement, tips and tricks, surprise freebies, and more. Become a H.O.P.E Insider today and get access to all kinds of freebies at www.hopeineducation.com/vault. Let's get started. I'll be honest with you, teaching literacy is hard and it takes tons of planning to do it well. That doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of time planning each day or week if you prep well before school starts or prep by the quarter or trimester. You have to have a larger plan written out before you can plan weekly though. Let's start with the elements of a great literacy block. Now, I promised you we'd talk about how to plan your literacy block, so let's dive into the elements of a great literacy block. First and foremost is phonics and phonemic awareness instruction. You will divide your time based on what your students need. Now, younger students are going to need more phonemic awareness to start with, but as the year progresses, you'll be fully into phonics. You'll have to just adjust as you go along, but you need a block of time to deal with this. Next, you'll need a reading mini lesson. The purpose of this is to model fluent reading, expand vocabulary, teach reading skills like decoding, and teaches comprehension skills. In addition, it models a reading response assignment to be done in literacy centers if that's what you're going to be using. Next, you'll need reading groups and literacy centers. I am a firm believer in this. There's only way for you to really give good reading instruction is to have small group instruction time. And the only way to manage that is to have everyone else busy on something of value in the meantime. Typically, that means literacy centers. You can have individual work if that works better for you, but I really do recommend you at least try literacy centers. Some of the centers I like are word work. This means sight words, spelling words, expanding vocabulary, phonics work. It can be any or all of these things during that period of time. You need to have activities planned and train your students on what to do and how to do it. And then you must have time for your students to read to themselves or with a partner. I strongly prefer students reading to themselves first and then reading to a partner if you have plenty of time in your literacy block. Students need time to practice reading and practice applying all the things that you've taught them from decoding to comprehension skills. They need time to be immersed in a book long enough to figure out if they like it and to learn to love to read. Then you need skills practice. This is things like sentencing, learning about parts of speech. No, I don't think that this should be a time for students to do a self-paced computer program. I really believe it needs to be directed and it needs to go along with what you have just taught. It is reinforcement. This is not enrichment time. This is reinforcement for things that you have previously taught. So students are getting the instruction and the time to practice that they need to really master what you've taught. This can include some computer programs, but you just need to choose what kinds of things students are doing so it directly pairs with things that you have taught. For skills practice, you can also have teacher-assigned work or work with a teacher assistant or a volunteer. If you don't have any help, sometimes I like a video demonstration by me of things that students need to do so that they can quickly take a look and then get started without having to interrupt me. You'll also need time for students to respond to the reading that you did in your mini lesson. This could be a couple of days a week. It could be every day, depending on how much time you have in your literacy block. Another element is your small group reading with your teacher time. You cannot skip this. You really need time to instruct your students very specifically on how to read well. This is your guided practice. It's your chance for you to really take everything that you taught in your mini lesson and help your students apply it and learn how to do it well. It's your chance to hear students read, correct any errors, and give them direct instruction on ways that they can improve. It is also a time when I teach sight words. I take a couple of minutes out of every small group reading time and spend some time working on sight words with students as well. The last pieces have to do with writing. You need a writing mini lesson. This typically uses a mentor text to help students understand elements of writing, the writer's craft. It's sentencing, spacing, capitals, parts of speech, ideas, voice, word choice, elements and features of different types of text, and much more. And then there needs to be a writing assignment. Now, if you don't have a long literacy block, you may have a writing assignment 1 or 2 days a week. If you have a longer literacy block like I do, then you may do a writing assignment every single day or a writing assignment for the week that they work on over a period of time. Your writing can be done together. Sometimes I work with my whole class and we write together, and sometimes they write individually. As the year goes on, we continue to write together on occasion because it's a chance for us to model and practice together, but I always have plenty of time for them to write individually. The only way to become a great writer is to actually write, to try out these things, to play with language and really work on becoming a good writer. Okay, now that we have all of the elements, let's talk about how your instruction time can change. Your instruction time changes a bit depending on how much time you have for literacy each day and how many students you have. Obviously, if you have less than 20 students, you have more time for each child and group than a teacher with 30 students. As I'm talking through all of these options, I'm going to tell you that I am assuming that you have 20 to 24 students in your class for our example purposes. All right, if you have an hour for your literacy block instruction, if you have an hour, you're going to do some phonics instruction for about 5 minutes, and you will meet with each reading group 1 to 2 times per week. Students will get to each literacy center 1 to 2 times per week, but try to have them do read to self every single day. They need that reading time, that practice time. If you have 90 minutes, I do phonics instruction for about 10 minutes and meet with each reading group 2 to 4 times per week. Students will get to each center 3 to 5 days a week and read to self every single day. If you have the great gift of 2 hours for your literacy teaching, your phonics instruction will be about 15 minutes. Then you'll meet with each reading group 5 days a week, and students will get to each literacy center every single day. Now, this has not happened for most people. I am lucky enough this year that I do have a full 2 hours most days, not every day. And so I really take advantage of that. If you have that gift, use it. If you don't, you can still make it work and do a great job. Do not feel like you are in some way cheating your students. Do the best you can with what you have and make the most of it. Another way that you can adjust your teaching is to have students do either a reading response assignment or a writing assignment each day, but not both. That can easily adjust your time and adjust how often you're getting to every single thing. Plus, it keeps your students writing every single day, and I'm a firm believer in writing every day. So students should be writing in either capacity, if not both, each day. If you have a shorter writing block, choose one. If you have a longer writing block, then choose both if you can. My students right now do both. And I know what you're going to say, but Lisa, I have first graders. Well, guess what? So do I. And my students write every single day. They write a lot. And I have to say, my students' writing growth from the beginning of the year until we get into the second month of the year is astronomical because they write all the time. They go from writing a sentence or 2 or even 3 to writing pages and pages. And it doesn't matter who these students are and where they've come from. You will be amazed. The more they write, the longer they'll write, and the more they'll love it. Their ideas will really start to flow. But if you don't spend much time writing, then you are going to struggle with writing, and so will your students. Write every day if you can. So here's your marching orders. Take a look at your literacy block, see how much time you actually have, and then you're going to map it out so that you can get in time for everything during the week. That doesn't mean you'll have time for everything every day, but you will have time to get everything in a couple of days a week so that they're getting plenty of practice in all capacities. It is really important that you make time for all of these elements. It may not be ideal. You might not get to everything every single day, but you're going to get into as much as you can in quality time for each one during the week. Don't cut some of these things short. If you really don't have a lot of time in your literacy block, then spread some of these elements out over the week, but really spend some time on them in the days that you do them. If you're only doing everything for 5 or 10 minutes, your students are not going deep. You want them to go deep on their writing. You want to go deep in their reading time. You want them to be able to go deep into all of these things, but that means that you might not have time to do them all every day. That's okay. Just look at your schedule and figure out how you're going to manage to get everything in and feel like your students are really getting a chance to really dig deep and do the very best work that they can in each area. All right, so that's it, my teacher friends, for this episode of the Teach Joyfully podcast. My sincere thanks to you, my listeners, for tuning in, and for all those of you who've taken the time to post a review, email me your thoughts, or DM me on Instagram with your feedback and topic requests. You can find the show notes and all the resources mentioned in the episode on my website at www.hopeineducation.com/podcast. And remember, a happy teacher is a good teacher. Until next time, teach joyfully and take care of you.